Hello everyone, welcome to another video on our 318 IS, our class 2. As you guys can see, I'm right here, here she is, and the intake manifold, it's not fitted yet. No, I decided to do something before the intake manifold, as I knew the car was still on stock exhaust. I decided to change the exhaust before I go any further because I thought, well, let me see how much power it's hidden on the exhaust. I also wanted to explore what the engine could do without changing the manifold. So I wanted it to push it further and see how far I could take it. So other thing I've done, I installed a standalone ECU, and I can only tell you guys the difference is very, very noticeable. So stay tuned for this video. Today I'm not going to show as much as I did show last time because all the work has been done. I didn't record anything because at the moment we are very, very busy. So I had to do this job between jobs. Even the tuning had to be on my hours, like today's Sunday and I'm on the workshop. I just finished the car today. So anyway guys, stay tuned for this video. It's very good. So this time we're going to jump directly into the dyno. As I said on the video earlier, I didn't have much time, and generally I'm doing this out of hours so you guys can stay updated. And the main reason why I'm doing these videos is I see a lot of people tuning these engines or many other engines the wrong way, and this is just to show what's possible to achieve when you use the right components and the right parts. And to be that honest with you, I'm quite impressed with the results myself, as I was not expecting the results to be this positive. But let's start moving on. So in front of us we have the reading, so as the car was left last time with the cams. So it didn't make quite the same power at wheels, but this is, as you guys might notice, it's a new software. So it might have a variance on the reading. It's not really that important. It's within what it should be. So it's 3 bhp difference, which is not really a big deal. And so you guys can see, we go back to the 138 bhp at the wheels. If you want to see the full thing, I can put it like this, so we can see the flywheel power was 167 bhp. At the wheels, the 137.9 bhp was or 138.0 actually was the peak at wheels. So I decided before, as I said, before I put the intake, I would like to see if I could get more power of it on the stock intake. And I said, okay, the best way for me to see exactly what the engine is doing and needs is to bolt on a standalone. So I did. And guys, generally I was not expecting to find this much difference on a standalone. Bear in mind this stock ECU was tuned, but as I mentioned before in other videos, they can provide a bit of limitation when you start tuning things to a different level, like we just done, putting cams and all sorts. And I found as well with different, by removing the air mass meter, I actually found more power, but I'm going to tell exactly how much power I gained as I'm passing through the graphs. So, well, there's nothing new here. Again, we've seen this before. Now I'm going to open the result that I had on the standalone, and here we go. Now the thing is, in here you guys can see we got a very big difference. You know that it's a little bit different on the wheels as well. This has to do with the tire temperature, because one was I had a lot more runs on this one because I had to tune the file on the standalone, so it has a different loss, but it's only 2.5 bhp different. It's not really that big, the difference at wheels. So we can look at it this way. Now the thing that impressed me the most, if you look just at peak power, it's we have peak power at wheels, we have quite a big difference, and it makes peak power a lot earlier. So in here at 6400 we have 13 bhp more. Now this is all because of the new torque curve. So as you can see, the torque curve, just instead of dipping down, just stays higher. It's a much neater curve all the way through, and then starts dropping down as they normally do. However, like I looked at the curve and I was thinking it still doesn't look right for the cam duration. Once again, as you guys know, I work with cam duration quite a lot just to figure out what is what. And like it shouldn't come down as quick as it does. It should hold the torque curve better, so therefore it could produce more power. And I decided to do a full exhaust for it. Like I haven't driven the car like this. Generally, it was literally taking it off the dyno into the ramp, have the exhaust fabricated, and then put it on the dyno again. Now, the exhaust itself, it's not just a straightforward exhaust. I had put a lot of time and thought into it, into the dimensions I want to use, and there's also other parts on the exhaust that I have used to help producing more power and help not releasing torque. So the stock exhaust on these cars is 2-inch. We chose to go for 2.5-inch all the way through. With 2 silencers. I don't like loud cars, so I put 2 silencers with a large volume, so the car is very quiet. So as a matter of fact, driving on the car normally, you can barely notice the difference between the stock one and this one. You just have a little light rumble, like just it's a nice tone actually. It's not like intruding, or it doesn't affect like anything on the car sound itself. And when it's flat out, you still don't hear it a lot. It still is very quiet. So I should open now the one with the exhaust, and there we go. So as I said, you know, there's like it just gained everywhere. As I said, like the exhaust is quite bigger, and a lot of people say, oh, bigger exhaust is going to lose torque down low, and as you guys can see, we haven't lost anywhere. So we made more torque from here. At this RPM we already have 7 Nms more. In terms of peak we haven't made more, but we have a much nicer curve, so there's no dips now. When I see too many dips on a curve, normally I assume almost instantly like there's a restriction on the exhaust itself. So exhaust normally cause torque curves to become wavy and stuff like that. So yeah, like old ones I have tuned in the past, as soon as I start seeing waviness on the torque curve, normally means it's a restriction on the exhaust itself. So yeah, the line just became a lot straighter, and from 6,000 onwards it's where it really became different. So it just stays stronger all the way through, and then of course at 7,000 RPM you got a massive difference of 17 bhp in here, which is very big. So as you guys can see now, the car is making 185 bhp at the flywheel or 159 at wheels. So we gained over 10 bhp at the wheels, but the gain was not fully for the exhaust. So after doing the exhaust, I did my normal tests on intake pressures, and I decided to remove the airflow meter because it didn't need to be there. I had it there, but it didn't need to be there anymore because the car was on standalone. And then the car went from 181 straight away to 185.6 bhp, which is where it is at the moment. And after driving the car on the road, I drag it. I dragged the car before. So for those that don't know, draggy is sort of like an equipment you can buy, and then it works connecting to your phone to measure the acceleration. And I often do this to compare before and after. Not only, I don't look just at dyno numbers, I also like to see the real world performance on the cars that I can see. And from 100 to 160 kph, the car is now a full 2 seconds faster. So if you see like where we started on the stage 3 on the stock exhaust and where we ended, you can see there is a massive difference at the wheels. And now once again, like, it's all down to spending the right amount of time tuning it and make everything go well together. And of course the exhaust is just not like a random MagnaFlow box that I installed, or 2 MagnaFlows. I have a supply of exhaust silencers. Like, they are very good, they work really well, I like their products. It's nice, it's a good quality product. So it's not something you can buy off the shelf, but it's well, we always try to get the best parts possible to have the best performance, and always a very good compromise. And on an exhaust, again, we don't want to have it loud. For starters, I personally don't like loud cars. Even on the track in UK, we are very limited in terms of noise. Some tracks, the noise limitations are as low as 86 decibels. So we have to make sure like we can drive the cars on the track without getting black flagged and just ruin the day. This is also another reason. And as I said, I think having a loud car just spoils the experience of driving on the long run. So it's not something that is enjoyable for me. Now also, like, it's important to mention, like, this car is a left-hand drive car. So the exhaust manifold is slightly better than the exhaust manifold on the right-hand drive cars. Like, I don't know in terms of power how much difference it would make, but it's something I could look into if I have some time to do, because I can easily put the right-hand drive manifold on the left-hand drive car and then do a dyno test and see what difference it makes on the power. But generally, I don't think at this power level it will have a massive impact. It's only when it starts getting to the higher power levels that you'd affect. Now I'm going to open as well, just for you guys to see the difference, a stock one that we had dynoed a while ago to compare with this one, and then there we go. So the internet says many times like it's not possible to gain without losing on an NA car, all that blah blah blah, yada yada yada, and like, in here you got the proof that it's nothing like it. So if you want to see the full curve, so there we have it. So stock one made 135.8 bhp, then this one is making 185. It made the torque they announced from factory, and this is it. So it's if the things are done right, it's possible to gain most places. But as I mentioned on another video before, there comes a point, of course, you will lose somewhere to gain, but it's when you're really getting a lot more from a small engine, so there are areas that are going to be affected. Other thing that is important to mention is the fact that all this car has, like, it has a good engine, so low mileage. It was only 70,000 miles when I put it on the car. So the car originally was an m42, I converted to m44. I believe I covered that on last video, and I chose an engine that someone, which was a customer, that had removed to do an engine swap, and I bought the engine out of him because it was a very low mileage engine, and I just bought it out of him. And of course that plays a role, but like, we will not see 10 bhp more just because it's a good engine. Normally you see between 7 maximum, at like 5 to 7 bhp, like if it's an engine that is tired. Unless there is a serious problem with it, then you can see over 10 bhp of losses. But the thing in here, going back to it, is all it has is cams, and the cams on the car are cams with excellent drivability, and like, this shows on the torque curve. You see, like, you have a pleasant torque curve, there's torque everywhere, like, it just has a nice power delivery. In here it has, like, straight away at 3000 rpm, it has almost as much torque as it has peak torque on the stock car, like on a stock one, as you can see here. So peak torque is in here. which is 180, and in here you have already like almost as much as it has off peak. So the cams are very mild, they're very drivable. It's just a good combination, you know, it just works really well. So all the car has is the cams, a decent exhaust, standalone ECU, and of course it has a cold air intake, but still is on the stock intake manifold. And as I mentioned, the intake manifold, it might be my next step. Now I've done some logs, I've checked the logs on the car, and like it's very clear that the stock exhaust is really taking away a lot of power from the engine, because there's not a single area on the log. So as I go through the RPMs when I was doing on the dyno, that the manifold pressure reaches atmospheric pressure, or like there's a big difference on the manifold between the atmospheric pressure and the pressure inside the plenum. And as I mentioned before, they want to be as close as possible together. So, you know, like there's a lot, I generally think there's a lot more power to come out of it, and this is going to be very similar to the Z3 when it's done. I can open the Z3, our Z3 curve. Some of you know my Z3, some others don't. So Z3, BDS, and we go to this one, and here we go. This is the Z3. So the only difference from the Z3 to this one is the intake manifold, and you can see the Z3 from 4000 onwards is just stronger everywhere. Now there's one thing that I know for a fact is I am not going to be able to make a manifold, or to install a manifold like I had on the Z3 on this car. So I know I'm not going to reach this beautiful torque curve. I'm not going to make as much torque because I cannot make it as long. And like some of you know, like the Z3, I had to cut the bonnet for it to clear the manifold, and I don't want to do that on this car. So I know it's not going to make as much torque, but power, I believe it's going to be capable of making similar power. And this is it. You know, other thing to note, this is like the Z3 at the wheels as around the same power as this one, but it's because the Z3 is on semi-slicks, and it's like the difference on losses. On this case we got 13 bhp, as you can see here. Like we got in here, yeah, we got this one that is on here. Like this is the difference. It's you can see the difference on the last thing. We got 13.9 bhp in here, which is something I mentioned before. The type of tire will change quite a lot the power at wheels. So yeah, this is it. Like to me, it's an excellent result. I'm still not finished with it, and there's more things I want to do on it after the intake manifold. We do have a new V2 cam to test, and I might use this car to test it. At the moment we only have the intake, as we're still developing the exhaust one, but I know the V2 intake cam is going to work really well still with the V2 exhaust, V1 exhaust cam. But then of course when both V2s are ready, it's going to be where the game really comes alive. But yeah, so next step should be the intake manifold. Like, sorry if you're waiting to see a video with the intake manifold gain, but I think it was better just to express how much power the engine could make on the stock manifold, but with a proper exhaust. And other thing just to note is the gains shouldn't be looked at on absolute values, okay? I think I covered this ground before. You should look in percent. How much percent did you gain in power? You know, I never look at how much power is it making, because it depends where it starts, and then you can see where it finishes. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Me, generally, I'm very pleased with the car. After driving it and testing it, it felt really good. So, well, stay tuned for next video then. And I will post just after the Draghi results, before and after the work. and this is the curve. So as the car is at the moment. See you later, boys. Bye bye.